what goes on. So I may or may not be here on Thursday, I guess.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
We'll
That's
see.
we none of us may be here on Thursday. Who knows? All right. So here we are. We're live on YouTube. Good morning, everybody. I'm seeing some beautiful people. Elizabeth, Linda, Karen, welcome. Mickey, Sharon, Steve, Dove, Deb, and let's see who else is here. I think is Robert still here. Um, Anyways, oh yeah, he had to go eat breakfast or get breakfast, however that happens. Anyway, here we are, and we are reading A Course in Miracles. And who would like to pray us in?
Can I volunteer Karen?
If
Karen,
she
do you?
if she's able to.
Oh, Mickey, I was going to volunteer you.
Got you first.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Okay, I love the truly helpful prayer, so we'll just go with that this morning. Take a breath, relax, invite Holy Spirit in for the healing. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I don't have to worry about what to say or what to do because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you so much. So we are in chapter 16, section 4, the illusion and the reality of love. And I think we read paragraph 4. Because I remember 16, 4, 4 times 4 is 16.
We
But
might have, I might have just seen that was on screen and that we ended there.
let's read it now. That's a good one. All right. And I will turn it over to somebody else who would like to read.
Can we start with paragraph 5?
Sure.
Because I swear we've read paragraph 4 and paragraph 5 for the last 3 weeks in a row.
Well, you know what? It's whatever we want to do because it's our group. So,
And I was so excited about paragraph 6, but I will volunteer to read paragraph 5 because it's very relative right now.
okay. Well, you know what? Read paragraph 5, and then if you feel like it, go on to 6. I'm going to step out of the room for about 30 or maybe 60 seconds. So
Okay.
go read.
There are no triumphs of love. Only hate is at all concerned with the triumph of love. The illusion of love can triumph over the illusion of hate, but always at the price of making both illusions. As long as the illusion of hatred lasts, so long will love be an illusion to you. And then the only choice remaining possible is which illusion you prefer. There is no conflict in the choice between truth and illusion. Seen in these terms, no one would hesitate. But conflict enters the instant the choice seems to be between illusions. But this choice does not matter. Where one choice is as dangerous as the other, the decision must be one of despair. And one of the reasons why I volunteered to read this is I had an episode of hate last week. And it's something that it angers me and myself, and I really resent that I can hate, that I can sometimes be caught up and swept into a hatred that doesn't make any sense. And it's everything that we were reading earlier today. And I read a slow read this morning through the psychotherapy pamphlet in the course. And I can really understand that the choice of love or the choice of hate are both the illusions. And this trying to force myself to only be loving and to have masked the hate underneath with only loving words, only loving actions. And I come from a genuinely true place of wanting to be loving, you know, literally wanting to save the world through love. And love will win. It's the same illusion as the hate that I've buried. And there's places in the course where it says a tiny grievance. Underneath the tiny grievance is this ocean of hate. And what started happening, you know, because I, I I know spiritual bypassing is just a term, but that idea that I would only come from love and only be loving meant I was suppressing anger. And anger to me is hate, and it's a grievance. And there's a certain, you know, we just read through Mickey Singer's writing about emotions that get buried or suppressed. Happenings that get buried or suppressed will, it's like feelings buried alive will never die. And I've known these concepts, but I have tried to avoid some of the work. And so the hatred started coming out. And you know, I raised a whole family, and I always had this thing that, you know, if mommy's mad, she still loves you, right? Like, I really thought that anger was okay as long as it wasn't belittling or judging or criticizing someone else. But I wouldn't accept how much my anger hurt those who were trying to share themselves with me. And it happened on a meeting, and I was grumpy, and I said, "Well, I'll take," and the meeting was starting late, so I, like, said, "Oh, I'll chair it, I really don't want to," and I really didn't want to, but since no one else was, I did, and someone said, "Well, maybe it'll change your disposition," which was like, "Ooh, ouch." But that's that idea that I can express any emotion and not hurt another. And, you know, conceptually, I know that I don't. My brother cannot hurt me. Everything I think my brother did, he did not do. I still want to put my finger on my nose, though, that what I do does affect me. And the hatred that I'm trying to hide does affect me, and that I can't just pretend to be nice. That, you know, and I used to say, people would say, "You look nice," and I would like, "I am nice," you know, like I had this inflated view of how good I was. And that is the separation. That is making me different. And I'm just grateful right now because these lessons are hitting deeper than they've ever hit before. And I'm understanding in ways that I haven't understood before. And I do believe that meeting anger where it is, I can transcend it, leave it there in the past and transcend it. And right now, you know, I'm not, you know, because it does say in the course, anger is never justified. I'm not saying there's ever anger that's justified, but it doesn't have the right to destroy me or those I love anymore. I don't know if that made any sense to any of you. Does anyone else want to say anything?
That was very clear, Deb. You really did. Yeah, that totally made a sense. And you know that I mean we go through being conflicted people because not being 100% in our truth, not understanding 100%. This is the effect that I have on myself and others. Karen, and then Sharonda. Hi, Sharonda. Karen, go ahead, please.
Hi, Deb. Thank you for sharing that. Um, the first thing that comes to my mind is, yeah, anger is never justified because it's not justified because I mean, it doesn't say not get angry. You know, that's the one thing about this course that I really love. It never tells us that we're not supposed to get angry. But the reason I think that it says that it's not justified is because it's not justified to blame it on an outer condition. It was your decision to get angry, and there's nothing wrong with getting angry. Anger is good. Anger is a good release. I mean, and we look at it, you know, it's just there to be looked at, and then, as Raphael often says, to be released. The necessary condition for the holy instant does not require that you have no thoughts that are not pure, but it does require that you have none that you would keep. So that's the only thing. It's beautiful what you shared. I love what you shared, and I think it's just something that we look at. I get angry all the time. This is one of my in AA. It was one of my major character defects, and it's something I'm still working on to this day. And I get very angry over physical stuff that I'm still going through, and I'm considering seeing a chiropractor to get some of this. I feel like I have a lot of blocked energy trapped in my spine from this spinal fusion, and there's a lot of tension and a lot of anger happens, and anger happens from trauma. That I have a lot of trauma, lots of trauma that I've been through that I'm still not healed from. So it's to be looked at, and yeah, I'm grateful that you shared that because I think we all go through it. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And yeah, that there's just because anger is never justified, which means that there's really no reason, no purpose behind it, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and it doesn't affect us. And we were just reading that Mickey Singer book talking about the samskaras where we hit that block, and when we hit that block, it hurts, bam, and then you go into some sort of emotional spiral because of um, because you've hit something when you needed to flow. And I love that you're expressing it about this with your spine, because yes, you know, I was just listening to on Sunday, Corinne Zupko, we played a meditation by her, and she was talking or going through how the energy flows through the spine, through the channel, and you know the chakras, you know how the chakras work and all that business. And you know, it made perfect sense to me when I was listening to it that yeah, because the spinal cord is where all the nerves, every nerve in your body starts from the brain and goes through the spinal cord to wherever it goes. And every nerve is one cell. Every nerve is one cell. So you have one cell, one nerve, you maybe have, you know, thousands of them, but one that goes to the tip of your toes, it's one cell from your brain to the tip of your toes, one long cell that goes all the way through the spine and through, you know, all the different channels all the way to the tip of your toe. Imagine that. Maybe you're 6 feet tall. That's a nerve, one single nerve that's that big, that long. But they're all going through from uh, the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, whichever way you want to look at it. So when we hit the blockages, you know, there may be a blockage in my neck that is keeping that nerve that goes to my toe from being able to communicate. And so that toe is not getting communication, not because there's anything wrong with the toe, but because there's a block in the neck. So, you know, this is why, you know, I think that you're onto something. If he can release any of that, God bless him and God bless you. Because yeah, that's legit as far as the body goes. It's the same thing with the mind and the heart. Um, you know, it's all one thing. And so, you know, whenever there's blockages, they either have to be removed, or, you know, the cell will die, the nerve will die. If it can't communicate, it will die. Uh, and nerve damage is one of the biggest problems that come about because of these blockages. Anyway, I could go on about that because that's something I'm really into. But anyway, Sharonda, please, and then Mickey.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. It's so good to be with you. I've just recently been paying attention to what to let go of and where to be. So for weeks now, I haven't been with where I usually am at this time. And then I stumble on you guys on YouTube. So thank you. Deb, what you shared was so honest and so pertinent for me. Let me say too, this idea of anger is never justified. When that was spoken twice, my thoughts immediately went to, yeah, because it only exists in my mind experiencing the separation, believing that's even possible. And then where is it happening? Is happening in my thought. I've got some grievances going on. I ne I never thought about myself as holding grievances, but for years now, I keep bumping into some with some people in my life. And I would think, well, I just keep practicing, lessons 1 and 2, lesson 10. My thoughts about this don't mean anything. And so I work with it. And I tell myself, well, I'm not really angry. I just keep working with this. Well, recently I'm realizing I'm mad as hell. Remember the movie Network? We're mad as hell. We're not going to take this anymore. Yeah, this is not fun and this is not where I want to be. And only recently there's a shift coming in that feels different where, okay, I'm going to really accept who God says I am, who God says my brothers are. I'm going to be willing to let these thoughts go to stop them, or however this is even going to look, because I really don't know. And but a different commitment to choosing for love, choosing love instead of these same images, because it's really hell. It's really painful. And I think I'm more neutral. I'm not yelling. I'm not da da da. But I don't show up as loving. I don't think I show up as loving in a lot of situations. So if my goal is to choose love and to be only love, I'm I need to be and I'm willing to be open for Holy Spirit working with me and making of me an instrument for love and to be of help in a way that's beyond any thought I've had of what that looks like, what it looks like for me. Um, I came into Easter week. Sometime last week, I had the awareness of wanting to commit to another level of practice this week. Not to do it this week and stop, but just going into Easter Sunday. Yeah, I want to be more prepared for that. Sunday, I was on a study group, Wisdom of the Zodiac. I don't do much with astrology, but that study group I join every month. It's very meaningful to me. One woman in the discussion said she wanted to prepare her system so she can handle the higher energies better. And I was like, yes, that's exactly where I've been in my desire, whatever the word, because I'll pick up the lessons, I'll start reading the lessons. I very quickly can go into that other energy. But then after, let's say after an hour, after 30 minutes, after an hour, I seem to have to back off and give my energy system a chance to adjust to those higher frequencies. I think about it in terms of the energy work I used to do with alternative healing, because it seems like we shift so much energy, we come into higher awarenesses, and then we need to adjust. We can't just keep laying it on there. At least I'm not able to. Um, at times I'm not able to. And I want to be able to handle the higher frequencies over time with more ease and not having to I don't even know how to talk about this. If I need to take a pause to adjust to the energies in my system, I'll take a pause. But I want to be able to handle the higher energies. A quick example. I ended up in Egypt with my Course in Miracles teacher, and I never cared about metaphysical or spiritual journeys to these places. But in Egypt, every one of us on our trip got sick, not from the water, from the energies. I won't go into details, but just vomiting, diarrhea, whatever. but our teacher, Danielle, didn't. She was at a higher frequency. Egypt was not a problem for her. To me, it seemed like she could handle those energies. Well, I want to be able to handle the higher energies, not for my personal glory, just to be able to be there more consistently in that higher frequency, that higher awareness of God. That is who I am. It's what we are. So, yeah, this week feels really important, and I'm focusing on more reading, more lectures perhaps, but also more time in the stillness, because that seems like a key piece for me is to not just only read, talk, be with you guys, but to be with myself in the presence of God. So thanks for the opportunity to share this with you. Thank you for the inspiration you guys truly bring to me, and to give me a place where I can talk like this. So thank you. Thank you. God bless you guys.
Wow, thank you, Sharonda. And thank you for the reminder of, this is Easter week and uh going into it, especially with the things that seem to be happening in the world and politics, uh not just, in this country, obviously, but the right now the whole area of Jesus is on fire right now. That whole Middle Eastern area, uh, where now, usually, people do take trips to the Holy Land for the Easter, for Passover, or whatever, and right now there's a lot of conflict going on, a lot of blockages going on to the energy that is flowing naturally. So I think any attempt that we make to make that make things more peaceful, make things more loving, less fearful, um, it's up raising our own energy level to a place where we can help to transmute some of these fearful things that are going on. I appreciate it very much because, why are we being shown? We're not being shown this stuff so we can sit back and say, oh my God, how terrible. We're being shown this stuff because we are the miracle workers, and it's up to us to transmute this stuff and to see the miracle and to bring the miracle into it. So I appreciate very much you're doing that, Sharonda. And Mickey has her hand up, and then Karen. Go ahead, Mickey.
Wow. I am so glad we're talking about anger because I've been getting ticked off. I wouldn't call it angry. I just call it irritated with stuff. People getting in my way seems to be the theme this week. Like, I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to go somewhere, be it on foot or on in the car or whatever, and they're like blocking me. And I've been getting really ticked off about it. And all of a sudden one day I was like, who's getting angry? Who is getting angry here, and why am I listening to them? Because it's not me. It's not the real me. And I keep going back to this paragraph that that I talked about last Thursday over and over again this week. And this one line, this is the companion paragraph to the truly helpful prayer. And it says the truly helpful are invulnerable because they are not protecting their egos. And so nothing can hurt them. And so the last couple of times this has happened, I've been going, okay, Mickey got pissed off at that car that was slowing down right when she was trying to cross the street, and they didn't put on their damn blinker. And how could I know they were trying to turn? And you're in my way, and I want to cross this. And all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute. whose ego am I protecting? Because Mickey is a projection of the ego. And so, what am I doing here? I am protecting the ego. I am justifying Mickey's anger. You went too slow. I'm angry because you went too slow and got in my way. I'm protecting the ego that calls itself Mickey, that's a projection of fear. And that's not me. I'm the one that's looking at Mickey getting pissed off. And I've been trying to, do this whenever. And thank you, by the way, for showing me. Thank you, car that was going so slow, because you showed me where Mickey is protecting the ego. And, that's forgiveness, I think. I think. Anyway, I'm glad we're talking about it because it's very prominent in my mind right now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mickey. And yeah, I love it when you said that, the slightest, what is it, the course says, the slightest bit of irritation, it is the same as, outrageous rage or whatever. I know exactly what it says, but I can't remember right now. But that's it, that, if we don't look at it and just brush it off and think that's just natural, that's just the way it is. And everybody would be pissed off about this. That's what I always think. Who wouldn't be mad about this? Someone who doesn't really care about any of these things and knows that none of it has any real meaning. So I love it. I love your openness and your honesty, Mickey. Every time you speak, I am inspired. I love it. Uh, because it opens up for other people to be that way too. So don't ever think you're too open. Uh, that's what you're here for. Karen, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Sharonda. This is a good subject, and it is forgiveness, and that is why we're here. We are here to heal our minds through forgiveness. And I love that you asked the question, who's getting angry, and it's not the truth of what we are. And so it is a good practice. This is a good forgiveness practice, practice watching, looking at, being the observer, looking at this, and recognizing, because no one can make you angry. Anger comes from a decision. I am the decision-making mind. I am the dreamer of the dream. I am responsible for which teacher I listen to. So this decision to be angry is just that. It's a decision. It has nothing to do with anything outside of me. That is what we must ultimately learn, and that is what Dove shares all the time, and that is the truth. It is a decision, and it's something that's unhealed within the mind, and that is definitely something I've been looking at lately, and I think it's a good thing. I mean, I actually think anger is a great tool. So I'm so glad that Deb brought this up, because I remember a while ago, a friend of mine in course said, that she was getting angry and she was feeling really guilty about it. She's a teacher and she was getting angry at her students in a regular classroom. She's a teacher. And I said, there's nothing to feel guilty about. That's the last thing the course wants us to do, is feel guilty. Anger, anger is never justified, but there is not one place in this course where he says not to get angry. It's just like anything else. It's a decision, and it's to be undone, it's to be corrected. And so I'm just so grateful, because there is no hierarchy of illusions. There is no order of difficulty. If I want to make it a problem, it'll be a problem. If I want to make it different, it will be different. But it is no different than any other illusion that needs to be healed. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. So it is a decision. And another thing that's the decision, heaven is a decision. So, I got the choice, do I want the hell or do I want the heaven? And uh, yeah, unfortunately, I choose the hell a lot. I choose the hell. Why? Because it seems more interesting. It's, we go back again always to the obstacles to peace. What's the first obstacle to peace? It's the desire to get rid of it. I don't want peace. The ego does not want peace. And if, when I first read that, I was like, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But of course, that's exactly it. It doesn't make any sense to want to get rid of peace, but we do it anyway, and we do it I mean, yeah, it's a decision. Every time I get pissed off, it's a decision. Every time I'm afraid, it's a decision. It always a decision. And, that's again, I have a kingdom that I must rule, and that kingdom is my mind. I am ruling that kingdom, but I'm ruling it from a crooked point of view. I'm not ruling it from the point of view of the Holy Spirit, but from the point of view of the ego that has all kinds of opinions and thoughts. And so I'm not really ruling the kingdom at all. It's the ego ruling the kingdom. And it's only when I bring myself back and allow the Holy Spirit to be in charge that I can actually rule the kingdom I've been given. Sharon, yeah, please go ahead.
I just want to say I love the conversation. One of the things I found really difficult was I was taking what the course was saying literally, like when it says, because it never, that's what Karen said, it never really tells you not to get angry. It just simply brings us back that it's really us that we're angry with. But for me, as a child, I was terrified of my own anger. So I never showed it. I was able to repress it. And then I was in therapy in my 20s, and I was terrified because my house was so volatile at the time. There was just a lot of screaming. And it was between my older sister and my mother, the yelling, and my father. It was so much screaming. So when I finally, my therapist said to me, um, she wanted to teach me how to get angry. So I did that. And and it's weird because if you met me, you would think, oh God, like she couldn't possibly be afraid of her own anger. But it's because basically the examples of the anger that we saw as children sometimes seem so crazy we don't want it because we're afraid. So when I finally learned how to get angry, I became just like my mother. Not with my kids so much as my ex-husband. I just let myself go into rage. And I feel like as a course student, you really have to be okay with showing that emotion because that's like helping happening in your chakras where you know um, you're holding back something. And one of the things that's last to go, I think, is our rage, is our anger. We hate ourselves. We hate ourselves for putting us in a horrid world with separation. Our goal always is we are going against what we are. We're love. And so it's so important to get angry, but it's also important to laugh at it because it's like we're these cartoon characters, because we're really only angry with ourselves. But anger, I don't think anyone, I love that Deb, when you share, Deb, you share right from your heart and you can feel it. That was just so helpful. I think that the more courage and bravery we get with where we're at, it helps. If I were Karen, I know what I would be like because I had the flu again, I had it for like 12 days. And I found myself getting angry, very angry, you know? And I didn't really hold it back, but I knew that it was just me I was angry at. But at the same time, I think that's an emotion that you really have to not get trapped into thinking it's wrong. Because all these emotions to being transmuted have to be felt in some way. You transmute it through feeling it. And yeah, sometimes it'll come out as rage. Now I don't have that. I'm not afraid of my anger. But I'm not feeling that anything is like, in at least right now, is making me very angry. But I do feel the honesty in this group is so helpful, because there's a lot of shame in our consciousness. And when we don't feel we're doing the right thing, it can add to more, like with the ego saying you're failing. You know how the ego gets involved in this. So I love it. I just want to thank everybody. It's so perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah. And oh yeah, it's just so perfect. The when I used to think that I was such a nice person, but I was really angry and really passive aggressive and not even recognizing that because I thought I was trying so hard to be nice and loving. And I was nice and loving. People would have perceived me as a nice and loving person. They didn't see the anger that was seething underneath. And I'm not talking about, uh, well, it is actually murderous rage when you look at it. Uh, but until I started actually looking at that and admitting to it to myself that I was really experiencing this, I would never have believed it either. I just thought I was a nice person. And I thought I was a loving person and I was trying to bring more light into the world and trying to make the world a better place. And we see it all the time. Now that I noticed it and recognized it, it makes sense to me. Why do people say, um, this group of people is just so violent and angry, when that group of people is just trying to make things better for the rest of the world, do something that is going to change the world, change society. Uh, some people perceive that as well, and some of the people who are doing it have murderous intent because even though in their mind, they think they're trying to make the world a better place. They're trying to make it a better place by getting rid of the things that they object to. It's the same thing, the pilgrims that came to America, my ancestors, and I guess Deb's too, and maybe some of the rest of us that came to America. What did they come here for? Not because they wanted to make a country where people could have their own religion. A lot of people think that they came here, that the reason that we have freedom of religion in this country is because, the pilgrims wanted it that way. No, they wanted freedom of their religion, not anybody else's religion. Just like it was a very exclusive wish on their parts, not an inclusive wish on their parts. And then that's the formation of much of the thought systems of uh, the people in America. I want it my way. I want it thus. This is, if you're not a Baptist, we've been watching Young Sheldon, and that there's a whole thing about religion that runs through it that just cracks me up every time because it's that this whole thinking of we are followers of Christ, but you are going to hell. Um, it is that anger and it's vicious. And until we recognize it, like I had to recognize it, that I was really angry and vicious, even though in my mind and everybody else around me, I seemed like such a nice person. That passive aggressive thing was just, I mean, I would tear people up. I would say things that were just outrageously mean, cruel, and, wanting, you to go. See you later. Taking the cat to the vet, I think. Anyways, Karen, yeah, please go ahead.
Thanks, Lynn. That's what the ego does. Suspicious at best and vicious at worst. That's what that reminded me of. The other thing that's coming to me is in chapter 10, section 2, in the decision to forget. And anger and attack go hand in hand. So in this section, I love paragraph 5, where he says, all attack is self attack, capital S self attack. It cannot be anything else, arising from your own decision not to be what you are. It's an attack on your identification. Attack is thus the way in which your identification is lost, because when you attack, you must have forgotten what you are. And if your reality is God's, when you attack, you are not remembering Him. This is not because He is gone, but you actively chose not to remember Him. It is an active choice. I have actively decided wrongly. I must have actively decided wrongly because I am not at peace. So recognizing it as a decision is so helpful, to recognize that I made this decision and I can change my mind. I can make another choice, or I can decide that I want to stay angry. I'm fucking pissed off right now, and it's a healthy thing to stay angry until you're not, because there is nothing worse than spiritual bypassing, and nothing worse than pretending that you're all light and flowery and happy, because it will come out sideways, and that has been my experience. It has to be healed. It has to, and you can't just, pretend. You have to go through it, allow it, and release it. And it takes as long as it takes. And it doesn't have to take as long, because I think we've all gotten to the point where we really don't want to be angry. But yeah, I think it's just important here, where he's reminding us that we have just forgotten what we are. We've just forgotten. That's all it is. We made a mistake. We've forgotten. We don't have to take it too seriously. And when we're ready, we will forgive. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. And it just made me think of lesson 93, which is so funny. It cracks me up every time now. It's called Light and Peace and Joy Abide in Me. And the first thing he says is, you think you're the home of evil, something.
Darkness, evil, and sin. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, light and peace and joy abide in me. You think you're the evil, darkness, and sin. You think if you looked at what you are, you would kill yourself. It just cracks me up. That's the first lesson that really got my attention. That's the first lesson that really got my attention, because that's where I said, "Oh, Jesus knows me." And yeah, light and peace and joy abide in me. They do. But what I think I am and what I think you are is not that. So that's why we're studying this, uh, and the illusions of the ego. So we have time to look at one more paragraph, and uh, I know Deb probably wanted to read it. So, Deb, would you like to read paragraph 6?
I would love to if you can hear me. I keep getting booted off.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all of the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. It is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. Every illusion is one of fear, whatever form it takes, and the attempt to escape from one illusion into another must fail. If you seek love outside yourself, you can be certain that you perceive hatred within and are afraid of it. Yet peace will never come from the illusion of love, but only its reality. And I just think those last two sentences say exactly what I've been wrestling with, the seeking for love outside and the hatred that's hidden within and being afraid of it. Alcoholics Anonymous tells us that fear is our number one. There's 100 forms of fear, self-driven. Like it's just, and it all comes down to what are we afraid of? And every time I inquire, I realize it's a boogeyman under the bed. It is nothing. It is in the presence of God, in the reality of love. How could anything that ever happens to me be outside of that love? any ailment, any problem, any condition in God's love. There is absolutely nothing to fear. And so I thank you all so much for all your shares this morning. I feel like I'm going to have a really good day. Anyone else?
All right. I just was flipping over. I'm looking for something I'm going to play for us after this, about uh, mirror neurons and how they work, which I think is really good. So yeah, this is what we've been talking about all morning, right? Seeking and finding the Mickey Singer called some samskaras. We talked about it earlier. This is what we're looking for, is the barriers that we've built. We built them. And so we don't, I think this paragraph, sentence 2 of this paragraph is the key. It is not necessary to seek for what is true, but it is necessary to seek for what is false. And so everything that's inside of us, every thought that we have that triggers us in some way or the other, we can go and say, well, that's not true about me because I am the Son of God, holy, holy me. Or you can look and say, what is it that made me think that in the first place? Because it's necessary to look at that. And whenever I look at that and recognize the reason I think this is because, this was told to me as a child, or this I heard, or this I came up with when I saw this thing happen. I said, oh, that's not right. It has to be changed or whatever. Those are my blocks. I built them. Nobody gave them to me. Nobody pressed them on me. Nobody said, now here are the things that are gonna, govern you for the rest of your life as far as your emotional response to what's happening. I made them all up myself. And I made them up to protect myself, to defend myself, to give myself a motive, give myself a reason. Whatever reason I made those barriers, the barrier that said, I'm married, I have a husband, that husband better never go out with another woman or man. That person belongs to me, and therefore, they have to, come home for dinner every night, or, whatever the parameters or whatever restrictions I put on. Those are my rules that I set up. And the minute he doesn't come home for dinner or goes out with another woman, I find justification to be angry, not for any reason other than I made a rule and the rule wasn't met. Somebody else didn't follow my rule. Or sometimes I don't follow my own rule and I get pissed off at myself. Why did you say that? Why did you think that? We listened to Marshall Rosenberg talking last night about how we self-talk, or look at and judge our own behavior and the behavior of others, and recognizing I was the one who made up the rule. So, I'm the one that said this is not right. And that's what I have to look at every day and everything. I'm looking at, again, bringing up, the world situation, and what appears to me to be untenable. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Bad things are happening, bad things are going to happen. Those are my stories I made up. There's no reality of them other than what I decided was right or wrong. And that's how every single one of us goes through our lives. And no wonder we're so miserable and at war all the time, because nobody can live up to that. – Nobody can live up to my expectations. 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 And even Jesus, as perfect as he seemed to have been, according to, whatever you might think about him, he still pissed people off. And people still didn't like what he was saying. And people still didn't like what he was doing to the point that they killed him for it. That's you breaker of the rules. You person that have gone out beyond the parameters of civilized society. But that's it. It's because, we've made up these false stories. And he says here, every illusion is one of fear, whatever form it takes. And the attempt to escape from one illusion into another must fail. If you seek love outside yourself, you can be certain that you perceive hatred within and are afraid of it. Yes, Deb, I agree. This is so essential to know. I am perceiving hatred within. I'm looking for love outside. And the only way I'm going to have peace is finding the reality of love within me. And that's what we're here for, to undo the barriers to the awareness of love's presence. Let's see. And Elizabeth says, so aware of this painfully, the inner attack in this arises. As this arises, love is as absolute, terrifies the self and the inner wall. Intense, so grateful for this conversation. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm grateful for you too. I'm grateful for your presence, grateful for your wisdom. And, I'm grateful. I know you guys are all reflections of me. I just can't believe I'm so beautiful. All right. Anybody else have anything to say before we close this out? All right. So next week we'll start with paragraph 7. How about that? 1647. I will not remember it, but Mickey's writing it down right now.
I am.
Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to read what Deb wrote in the chat. So aware of this painfully, the inner attack as this arises, love as absolute terrifies the self and the inner wall intense. Because that's it. It's the attraction of guilt produces fear of love, and it's so deep, and it's in chapter 19, and it is the crux of it's like the fear of love is the underlying cause of everything. It's all of it. It really, really is. It is afraid to let go of the truth of what we are, and the fear of God, the fear of true love, that intense, absolute love terrifies us. It terrifies us to let go of this anger, to let go of this identity, to let go of the story. Who would I be? And that's what we're all doing, removing the blocks to love's presence. But the attraction of guilt produces fear of love. I remember Ken said, if you understand that, you will understand the whole entire course. So it goes back to the original moment of separation. We chose the ego, we chose to separate, and we were afraid of losing the truth of what we are. So that's everything. So what Deb wrote was exactly right on the money. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Just want to make sure Elizabeth gets credit for that because she wrote it.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought I'm blind. I am so blind. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth. That was so right on. Yes. We're all one here. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that, Mickey.
Yeah, thank you too. And Dove says, and I sent myself A Course in Miracles just in case I falter along the way. Yep. Thank you for sending it to ourselves. Thank us for reminding us that this is what we're here for. And we do have a greater purpose. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm going to go ahead and